Okay. Since this, my mirror camera always flips things weird, I'm putting it this way. But this is what I call my ultimate circle of fifths for guitar. I'm thinking about uploading like a PNG or PDF or something for people if they find this useful. What I did originally, I think this is a good idea for everyone to do if you are a musician or if you want to get into music. Create your own charts, because if you buy one, it's already made, but when you create it, you have to force yourself to think about all these relationships between the notes and everything. But this was my ultimate circle of fifths. So we have your key up here, and it obviously goes clockwise, just like a normal circle of fifths. So you got your key and your tonics, or also subdominant, dominant, and then you have your minors, your diminished, and then the tritone substitute. So instead of using the G7 to get to C, I could use a D flat 7 to get to the C note. Let's say I want to get to E minor. Instead of just going from C to E minor, I can go C, B7, E minor. That's why I have all these things color coded. So if you look down here, every note has been given its own specific color of the rainbow. And to show a flatted note, or sharpened, it's just it'll be fully colored in. And if it's a whole tone, it'll have an outline of that color. Or, like seen over here, a circle. But so here, I can see that with that cyan, blue, and red together, that's a G and C mix. Those work together. Those work in tandem. Those are a fifth apart. And if I wanted to know what's B, well, it's yellow, so B would obviously be E. So it's just I guess for me it makes more sense, and I wrote down here the color relationships, so that way you can easily at a glance see. So if I'm playing an E, I can easily see that the D would be the 7th. Or if I want to, say, play an E, the 5th would be a B. So just color coding things made things a lot simpler for me. But the way to use this is, say we're starting in the key of C, and I want to get to A. So I could go, let's go to C, E minor, E7, A minor, change that A minor to an A. I mean, this is all just this is going to be a weird modulation, but then that would get you to A over here. Or I can go C, D minor, E minor, turn that E minor into an E7, and then drop that down into A. And that would get me into a whole new key. That's why I really had fun creating this ultimate circle of fifths, because that it really helped me figure out how to switch keys a lot easier. And down here, as you can see in the middle of the circle, it shows what each layer does. So if you're looking at the key of C, you have your tonic, subdominant, your dominant, minor second, minor third, minor fourth, minor second, minor third, minor fourth, your diminished chord, that's your leading tone, leads you back into the tonic, and your tritone substitute at the very bottom, which you can use instead of a G7 to get to your C. What's up, Mockery? So say I was in the key of D, and I wanted to, instead of just using an A7 to get to D, I could go, let's find something that has an E flat in it. Let's just go from the key of E flat, turn that to E flat 7, which would be the tritone substitute for the A7, and then just go E flat 7, D. Boom. But I'm thinking about finding a way of putting this in the community or something like that, in the community posts or something, so that way y'all can use this if you find it useful. And then down here, this really helped a lot too. I wrote down all 12 notes and then built the major triad for each one out of it. And I noticed that while I was making it, if you skip about 3 semitones, you get your flat 7 right there, or your major 7 here. So if I wanted to know what the flat 7 is for D flat, that would be B, because it's just one shifted over. Pretty much. No, this is just my ultimate chart that I made for myself, so that way I can shift keys and understand music better. And then this is the guitar neck. as you can see, I wrote up here, whole tone is a circle, and which is going to be your major scale if you just follow the whole tones. And if you only follow the flats, you'll get a pentatonic scale. So all the colored in ones are your sharps and flats. The circles are your whole tones. And this way, it's like looking at the piano, or the guitar like a piano. So all your white keys are your whole tones, or your major, C major notes, and then all your sharps and flats are black keys or colored in keys. So, but since I prefer to have everything color coordinated, it makes it a lot easier to be able to understand the relationship between these things. But this way I can just stare at this while practicing, and say I'm practicing pentatonic scale, I can just, if I want to practice a certain pentatonic shape, I can just start, say, on any flat note, and I'll find a pentatonic shape. Boom, 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 boom. And I can just practice that shape. Say I wanted to turn that into a C pentatonic, just shift that whole shape down to here. But also, as you can see with, yeah, well, that's just because I don't know, I'm just some autistic guy that likes to make music. And I like to draw stuff. But so as you can see with with the entire neck, you have every single type of mode and both types of scales. The first chunk up here, if we, actually, where's the major scale? If I start on C from here, I can make a major scale out of this shape, and this is the Ionian mode. So from here, if I want to learn about how to play any pattern for any type of mode, now all I have to do is just play the Dorian shape that I see here. And if I wanted to play C Dorian, I would play this shape of these whole tones, and then I'd play that over the C note. Boom. C Dorian instead of D Dorian. But I'm thinking about putting this up there so that way other people can use it. But I also think that it might be better for people to use it more as a reference to build your own. Because when you write all this stuff out, it gets worked into your brain, and you are able to memorize it better and utilize it better. Then I have like the two difference, because like my classical, the neck stops at the 12th fret, but my archtop stops at the 14th, 15th fret. But this way, it's a lot easier to understand the relationships between notes. Because what makes music is not the individual notes. It's the spacing between the notes. What gives the mood is how far away are you going? Where is home? What makes you feel like home? Repetition is what makes something feel like home. So if I wanted to make something sound really kind of out of tune, all I have to do is just find the tritone, which is boom, opposite. Tritone for A, E flat. So, but also, spent a long time last night drawing this up. There's another section that I'm going to be working on. I'm going to be making extra scales and stuff like that. But as you can see within all of the scales put together, you can notice the patterns for, like, your major blues scale is just your D flat scale, some borrowed notes from your D flat scale. Actually, something I kind of noticed is that actually there's only two scales. All you have is C and D flat. Because C contains all the whole tones, or whole notes, I guess, I don't know. And then D flat has all your sharps and flats in it. So if you combine those two together, you get the circle of fifths, which is your pentatonic added to a major scale. Anyways, yeah, it's the D flat pentatonic actually. But yeah, I just wanted to show y'all the progress I've been making. I also drew this in the middle. I made way too small, but it was more kind of a reference for while I was making this thing. But it's got, your major, minor chords, the flat 7, and the augmented. But most of that's not really needed because I have that right down here, so I can easily see the relationships that I need. But anyways, yeah, I just wanted to share that with y'all because I had a lot of fun making this. Also, check out Rick Beato. A lot of people, think he's kind of a boomer and a grandpa, but like he He's an amazing music professor. A lot of what I have learned has been watching his music theory classes, as well as just I've been watching him for years. So a lot of this has just been kind of absorbed over time. That and Daniel Bennett. Daniel Bennett is also a really good channel to check out if you want to learn more music stuff. Anyways, I am going to peace out now. Thank you all for coming and checking out my little guitar thing. See you later, Mockery. I'm glad you liked it.